We have multiple devices. Oh, no, it's not. It's all global. He's not. I'm not a device for. You know what? It's going to be on the side. I don't think I could do it. Right. I just started talking a couple of years ago because of big thing. And the world communicated. You know, like when we big. It's afternoon. It's all years.
Let's gather. I think we're set.
Thought you might work on it.
So Andrew, shall I grab that? Yeah.
Well, yes, but it's all good.
You're like this one, you can't really turn them on. They're turning back on again. If we just turn it off,
Yeah, mine's like that too.
it turns back on for itself. You can't turn it off.
Yeah. You don't have to
Not uncommon.
stop us, do it, and you just.
After I full complete
Yeah, no, it's,
la guitar.
even if you turn it off,
Become
it's
na.
still on. They can tell on the lights.
I love the way for shut it off.
Just a moment. Let's have quiet.
You're gonna leave, Stuart, and work for you.
I'm seeking to do that. If there's quiet, it'd be easier. Okay, can we all gather? Susan, you want to come in the circle a little bit?
You're gonna do that. We'll do it.
Oh, what happened?
Like I got one, I won.
Can we sit down and begin, please, friends?
Still dragging. Oh, that's dragging.
Let's have a moment of silence. Let's reflect ourselves. If I may ask, thank you. Claire, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Claire?
I hear you, Stuart.
Claire, can you hear us? How do we unmute Claire? Anybody know how to unmute? Claire, you need to unmute yourself.
He's not muted.
Claire?
Muted and unmuted herself.
Let's stay focused if we
She's
can.
not muted now,
friends.
so
Let's stay
she's
focused.
not muted, but we don't hear
I
her.
understand. I'm just calling her.
Oh.
I'm just tearing it down. I don't even know what it was.
What is? My name.
I mean,
Oh. Good one.
I've been looking at that.
You're right at the right place.
I know, it's like you.
It seems to me so obvious to people that if they pollute the place is it's not gonna be sustainable, right? I mean, is that hard to understand?
I don't think so, but I think you have to care about it first.
Do you have a landline by chance?
Yeah, we do.
I'm not able to.
Oh, but,
Oh, the rain or something.
it's just line on, that's the talk button.
I think people with their ones are very.
When you look at
Don't have
the
a-
world as a universal
adult use.
unit,
Yeah.
if you pollute one spot, you pollute every, you know what I mean?
It all flows downhill, right?
Yeah, it's like freedom, if you're not free one place, if you're not free nowhere. You know what I mean?
Or it evaporates. It moves on in the wind. It deposits back in the ground.
It's long.
They don't. The Cree Indians, the Crow, who live in the north of Canada. They survive only on fish.
Right.
They cut holes in the ice, and that's their only source of food. There is no vegetation.
I know.
That's crazy, right?
So
I
what
guess
is
I
happening
get used to
is
that.
that various pesticides that are lighter than water. They will evaporate, and then they cool off, and then they fall down as rain, precipitate, right? So what happens is that over time, they may start near the equator,
Claire.
but then they'll move out and farther toward the pole. And so enormous amounts of the pesticides concentrate near the North Pole, so
Are
that
you
fish are
unmuted?
contaminated, though they never had any contaminants there. Solely through evaporation, precipitation,
Yeah.
moving out toward the poles.
That just goes to show you how the universe is, the gases solidify back into the water and it all this one cycle back again.
Friends, please. Can we have quiet now? We're trying to make this work. We can just all focus. Bring the attention to making this work, if I can ask.
Want me to hang up the phone?
So Claire, why don't you stay there? You don't hear me over the computer, I guess.
I do. I am now.
Okay, so can you speak to us? Do you hear us now? Do you hear us now? Orin, do you hear us?
Yes, I hear you. I hear you, Stuart. Yes.
Okay. Okay, Claire, do you hear us?
We have to go out and come back in.
And she may need to, her volume, make sure she has a volume up. On the computer.
Hello?
So Claire, we're gonna do it this way. Do
Stuart?
you hear me?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Should I just talk to you on the phone then?
that'd be best, yes.
All right,
Thank
do
you,
it that way.
good. Okay. Thank you.
Then she probably needs to leave the Zoom because otherwise I'm gonna get it all.
You look very good here, my dear. I haven't seen you for a long time.
Thank you, Claire. So we are gonna jump in. We're a bit late, but we're gonna jump in.
Very good. Good.
So friends, I want to introduce our friends. And Claire and I met when I was asked,
Oh. Sorry.
can we put things aside, please?
I was gonna throw it back, this was good.
So Claire and I met at the 2017 annual meeting of the Thoreau Society, the bicentennial anniversary of Henry David's birth. And I had been invited to give a talk, what I call an offering, on Henry David's clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. And before I began, I looked in the audience and I noticed a woman there. And after I finished, she came up to me and she said, I understood what you said. Henry David understood what you said. And then she broke down into tears. And I reached out my hand to her and she took my hand and I said, is there anything else you care to say? And Claire told the story that I don't think she had told to many of her life. And that was the life, as all of us with particular gifts, particular genius, that had to do with seeing clearly and hearing clearly and being in touch, as in clairsentience. And like many who have this, they think this is natural. But in Claire's case, it turned out not to be natural. And her early years took her to Concord with her father. And she described, this is as we got to know each other over the weekend, because there are a lot of people who speak of having these gifts. And like with everything in life, it's good to practice discretion, to have an open heart, but to take things with a grain of salt. And so I made the effort took the time to be with Claire over the weekend to get a sense for who this new old friend was. And she described over this period of time being brought to Concord with her father. And they went to the Orchard House, and then they went to the Emerson House. And she described going upstairs and taking a right at the top of the stairs into the room where Henry David stayed. How old were you then, Claire?
Excuse me, I think I was probably about 11 years old.
So she was young. And she had a talk with Henry David, who she experienced in the room where he stayed when Waldo was lecturing in England as sort of a godfather, to keep an eye on the family. Anyways, life went on. And as some people perhaps know.
May I interject, Stuart?
Sure.
I just want everybody to know that at 11 years old, I had no idea who Henry David Thoreau was. Never had heard of him. Just so you know.
Thank you.
So with the echo, have her turn off the Zoom or like mute her Zoom.
Yeah, maybe it's all-
Claire, have you turned off the Zoom?
Or, I mean,
No.
No?
Okay, hang on.
No, she should not turn off the Zoom. She just needs to mute.
Can you mute the Zoom? Then we don't have the echo.
Yeah, hold on. I will. Let me do it right now. Okay, the Zoom is muted as of now.
Just deal with it.
Okay, let's continue.
Is that better?
We'll work with it. Thank you, Claire. So life went on. And love was unrequited for Claire. As she was to discover about a decade ago when she got a book catalog, and on the cover was a picture of Henry David Thoreau. And he winked at her. And it caught Claire's eye. And that led to her discovery. We don't say this is a God's truth because your hearts would tell you whether any of this makes sense or not. So we're not trying to pitch anything. We're just sharing our best thoughts. She discovered that she was the woman who Henry David's mother and sister were talking about in the kitchen in Henry's last days. We're talking about Ellen Sewell. And Henry's comment, as recorded, was, with the little breath he had left, I always loved her. That marriage wasn't on earth consummated because Ellen's father was a rather proper, upstanding Unitarian, and Henry was a transcendentalist, So, and Claire will go into all of this in more length, but so it was unrequited on earth. And that was part of the sorrows that Henry, who's with us, and Claire will introduce him, brought over the threshold. It'd be nice to think that when we die, we sprout angel wings, but no, just like at the end of the day, we bring our trials and tribulations into sleep and we awaken with them in the morning and have to work with them anew. So it is, I would suggest at least, that when we pass away, that we bear all that we've borne into the spiritual worlds. The reason the story goes, and the story has been published, I encourage Claire to write it, and we've published it. The story goes, the reason why Henry winked at her was because the angelic beings who were accompanying him in his life after death were concerned that he would commit soulicide. And I say this knowing that Henry is listening. Not suicide, since he was already dead, but soulicide. That is to give up out of a kind of a despair. And thus,
Can I elaborate on that?
sure, yeah.
Oh, Henry is with us. Just so you know, but-
A little louder, Claire, a little louder, much louder if you would.
Okay, yes, Henry is here with us, but he's, I'm speaking for him with his permission. So just so you know, I'm not just speaking for him without him knowing it. This soulicide is the word has spoken of means that Henry was in despair, thinking that
Hi, Stuart, can you hear me?
Corinne, yes?
Hi, yeah, maybe if she was to call, use her phone to call into Zoom as opposed to her computer, maybe that would be an easier way for her to get on the stream.
Is anybody there?
Hello, I'm here. Yes, Claire?
Okay, yeah,
I
but
can
can
hear
I
you.
see somebody? Okay, wait. Let me see if I can join
No,
the meeting and get a visual.
You're on your phone, so you can't see. You just have to be able to talk, but you can't see.
Okay, I'm joining the meeting right now. Join. Yoo-hoo. Okay, now let's see what happens. It's still,
Okay.
it says waiting for host to start the meeting. Now what do I do?
Yeah. Well, I just have to wait for Stuart to tune in, I think. And
He's already been, we've already started the meeting.
yeah, I think it's if you're gonna have your computer and your phone together. Is that the idea?
I'm on my phone and the computer.
Right. That makes sense. So I think he's.
Should I click on team chat?
No.
No?
Claire, let's do this. I'm the only one you'll be able to see. You know me. Let's just proceed. I'm going to
All right.
continue with the introduction, and then the floor is yours and Henry's.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
okay, thanks.
So friends, so here we are. So she and Henry united, and they have a wedding ring woven out of the colors of the rainbow.
And Henry made.
We're going to give you the floor in just a moment. So over the course of the weekend, Claire and I spent a good bit of time together. And when we're at the Orchard House, the home of the Alcotts, there's a tree with a bench, and we're sitting there. And while I felt that I've been in touch with Henry for most of my life as a native son of Concord, I've done it in my way, and Claire was able to make this even more direct. So I was given the opportunity to ask Henry a question. Do you have a question you'd like to ask Henry? And I said, actually, yes. I said, Henry, did you really mean to support John Brown's use of violence and even murder in the abolition cause? And Henry, who's with us, and he can add or subtract, said, Stuart, I stand by my words. And I thought, well, who am I to question this old friend? So I let it be. 2 weeks later, I was in a canoe holding a cell phone talking to Claire, and Claire said, Henry just jumped into the canoe. This is in northern New Hampshire. And she reported, he said, and again, they can add and subtract, Stuart, I take back my words. To take another's life is, I realize to take another's life is blasphemy. This gives a sense, friends, of the work of the Center for American Studies. That is, our work is building bridges between the heavens and the earth. Most thoughtful people know the stream can flow down. That's what great composers and artists, they receive the inspiration, but we can also offer something up. A few months later, and what I asked was not at all profound. It was a simple question I had. Did you ever really mean to stand by your defense of John Brown? Well, a few months later, I asked Henry another very simple question, not profound. I said, have you and Waldo stayed in touch, Ralph Waldo Emerson, on the other side of the threshold? Because everything is so divisive in this world. They're the Emersonians, and they're the Thoreauvians, and they're the Alcottians. And for me, they're all one being. And Henry, who will be sharing in a little while through Claire, said no. And so I also said something that was most unprofound. I simply said, that's a shame. Well, that led to Henry and Waldo meeting. And the way it was described to me was Waldo said, Ralph Waldo Emerson, nobody knew how much I loved Henry. And then he said, I didn't know how much I loved Henry. And then he was overcome with tears. And the two embraced, as Claire recounted that. So again, nothing profound, just a simple question. That's a shame you haven't been in touch. And that is the work that we're involved in. Because in my understanding, those who die are most alive in spirit. And they obviously have an interest with those with whom they're connected, particularly those who are trying to foster what they gave their lives for. A deep interest. That interest can become real and actualized, not in terms of being given marching orders from those on high or being instructed, but just out of that heart-to-heart connection, being in touch. So that is at the heart of this story that Claire told. We encourage her to tell, and the Center published. And I want to read you a review, and then Claire, it's to you and Henry. I want to read you a review of her book written by Bob Richardson. And in Transcendentalist Studies, Bob Richardson is not only one of the great authors and scholars, but he is a blessed soul. He has a heart of gold. He knows the Transcendentalists inside out. He's not just simply an academic. And what Bob said of Claire's story is the following. It's a wild, sweet story. And who am I, or who's anyone to say it isn't so? This connection between the heavens and the earth. Only poets and seers commune with the departed ones, but we can all listen, and our lives can only be better for listening. So Claire, a heartfelt thanks to you and Henry to be with us, if I know what I'm talking about. And can you introduce them? Not all these people here is familiar with Henry David Thoreau as we are, so can you introduce your consort? Because this is Mother Earth and Father Sunday. And what we'd most love to have you speak about is what you've learned in an archetypal way about how the masculine and the feminine, men and women as consorts, cosmic consorts, can work together and safeguard and nurture and kindle each other's spirits.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Stuart. Henry is here with us at my request. I think that, this is such a broad topic and such a complex topic, talking about relationships, physical relationships, but particularly when one person is still embodied and the other person isn't. However, we are still masculine and feminine. And what I've learned by being Henry's wife for 10 years, his spiritual consort, is that there is an underlying essence that defies definition. Masculine and feminine really don't have any meaning, not the kind of meaning that we give it in this physical world. It is so much broader than that. It is a divine concept that is very hard to explain. Being a consort, a physical consort to a spiritual being, is a difficult role to play, but I have learned so much from Henry, from his world, and from who he is. And he has shown me that this dichotomy between man and woman that we experience in this physical world is really, it's an illusion. We are all divine beings. We are all divine beings. We have and what I'm trying to say, I think I just basically said it, is the essence of who we are is the same thing. When we incarnate into physical form, we become either a man or a woman. But underlying that, if we can look for that, underlying the physical form and the biological differences that we are assigned, we find that we are the same. We are the divine counterparts of each other. And I didn't know that until I became Henry's consort. I had no experience of that. So what Henry has taught me, I wouldn't say it's the most important thing, but it's certainly one of the most important things. That I no longer define myself as a woman only in this physical body that I inhabit right now. I'm so much more than that. I am so much more than that. I am a divine being, as Henry is a divine being. And he's smiling at me right now as I'm speaking. I don't know if it was really made clear. I guess it was that when Stuart was talking about my being clairvoyant and clairaudient and clairsentient.
And Claire, what man wouldn't smile when a woman says that they're a divine being?
Well, true. That's very true. Henry has learned a lot about me as well as a wife that's still in physical form. He has had a chance to re-examine his life when he was in physical form in the 1800s. He has had a chance to kind of go back through me to remember what it was like when he was a man. And he struggled so hard, and I get really teary often when I talk about Henry. So excuse me if I do that, but he struggled so hard because Henry got it. Let's just say Henry got it, even as a physical being. He understood what it was like to be a divine person, part of the divinity, the divine plan. So he wasn't just a writer and an ecologist and a surveyor and a pencil maker and a jack of all trades. Henry really got it. And that was part of the tragedy, that he got it but couldn't manifest it, because in the 19th century, not very many people did get it. And so part of his sad story, the sad part of it, there were glorious parts of it, but part of the sad part was that he got it but couldn't make it work in that time period. So now that he is on the other side and he is that pure divine essence, he can look back on his time when he was alive. He can re-examine it, refocus on some of the things that needed to be fixed, in quotes, some of the challenges that he had, some of the lessons that he had to learn. So he's been focusing on those things in his world to make things better, to make things clearer, to make his life as an eternal divine essence as pure as they can possibly be. So we're kind of helping each other out. So I can also now, even though I'm not dead yet, I can look at myself as not just a physical woman. I can look at myself as, I'm a heck of a lot more than that. And I got to say, I pretty much got it too before I met Henry, or was reconnected to Henry. But not nearly as much as I have understood it now as his consort, because we live it. I'm with Henry every day. I'm with Henry every night. And so I am living, it's kind of a divided world. I'm living in this physical world as Claire. But when I'm with Henry at night, I'm Ellen. I'm Ellen Sewell. And so, which I have, I have incarnated as Claire. So I am living two lives. I'm living two beautiful lives in physical body and as Ellen Sewell, Henry's beloved, whom he was not able to marry. So I've learned how to kind of straddle the worlds, and I'm learning more through Henry about my physical self and how I can access those divine essence, archetypal parts of me that I wasn't nearly as aware of then as I am now before I met him, was reacquainted with him. And I'm also able to fully embrace that part of me when I'm with Henry at night. So it's a strange journey. I wrote about it, as Stuart said. The first book I wrote about my journey to rediscovering Henry. And as I said earlier, I was 11 when I first encountered him at Ralph Waldo Emerson's house. in Henry's little bedroom there, his little sitting room, bedroom, study at the top of the stairs. I had no idea who this man was, but I encountered him there for the first time. And then when I went back as an adult, I took another tour myself as an adult. I came back to Concord, and I went back to the Emerson house. And I was, of course, an adult. I was a lot more aware of what I was experiencing, the depth of it. And I had a very emotional, I did not see Henry at that time. I did not even speak to Henry at that time, but I had an overwhelming clairsentient experience of his presence in that little room. And I remember saying, because in that room is where he wrote and poured out all of his pain and even the things he didn't write. This is where he regathered himself, back to himself, to feel and to contemplate. And I remember feeling he had lost his brother, he had lost me. I remember feeling the pain that he experienced while he sat in that room. And I remember, and I wrote this in the book, about how I berated him for carrying this load with him, that he needed to put it down. He needed to put it down. And he and I have had a long journey together. I want to clarify, too, not just speaking specifically about Henry, but about what I've learned about departed souls who are in the other world. Souls have lives just like we do. They have stuff they do over there. They have jobs if they want to. They can create the kind of environment that they want. Henry has recreated his Concord Walden world. Mm-hmm. That's what he wanted. Souls are beings who have feelings, who have memories, who have emotions, and so they are not at our beck and call. Instead of a channeler, I call myself a communicator. If I want to talk to somebody, if I want to talk to Waldo, say, or any of our transcendentalist friends, or the deceased parent of one of my friends, or my dad, or anybody, I don't assume that they are going to be available to me. That's disrespectful. So what I do is I reach out to them, and I ask if I can even contact them. They may not want to talk to me. They don't want to maybe even make themselves available to me. But if I'm lucky and they do make themselves available, I will ask them if they are available for a talk. And usually they are. Sometimes they are not. They have to be respected as much as you would respect a person you know in this physical world, a friend, a family member, a colleague. They are owed our deepest respect and our care and our love. So even with Henry, my husband has things to do. We usually spend some time together every day. But before we do, I say, Henry, who are you with today? And he'll usually will say he's with his brother John, doing a saunter with his brother John. Okay. I usually join them. Sometimes he's with his best friend Ellery Channing. Sometimes they're together, and I usually join them. I'm always welcome to join them, but I always ask. So even my consort would get my highest love and respect. So I don't know what else I want to tell you, or if anybody needs to know any more. If anybody
Yes.
wants to ask anything,
Claire, can I ask a question of Henry? In
yeah.
that, Henry, so for 53 years, they've celebrated Earth Day here on Earth. And when one thinks of Earth, one thinks of Mother Earth. And the Earth is ailing. And so today we're inaugurating on Sunday, April 23rd, something new in history called Mother Earth and Father Sun Day, bringing together the earth and the sun. And in your wonderful passage, this is what you write. So we saunter towards a holy land, till one day the sun shall shine more brightly than ever he hath shone. Shall perchance shine into our hearts and minds and light up our lives with a great awakening of light, as warm and serene and golden as on the bankside in autumn. Can you say, Henry, on this historic Mother Earth and Father Sun Day, where the solar and the earthly forces are coming together in a certain sense of masculine and feminine, can you say what your life and your death has taught you about the forces of the sun, the forces of the solar forces, the forces in being of the man, and how it best relates to creation and to our sisters, our women?
Wow, that's a lot. Henry just said he wanted me to, so just, I'm speaking through my voice, but of course this is Henry speaking through me, just so you know, these are Henry's words. He's got a little bit different perspective now, that there shouldn't be a bipolar or a polarization between Mother Earth and Father Sun, say, or Father Sky. In Henry's mind, it's like Father Earth and Mother Earth. They are one being. They are one being. Mother Sun, Father Sun. Everything divine that we think of here on Earth as that, in that regard, Father and Mother, to him now, it's more like everything is one. There is no father or mother. We can celebrate it that way. There's nothing wrong with that, Stuart. You know, the celebration is beautiful. The celebration of Mother Earth and Father Sun is beautiful. But from Henry's perspective, in his world, there is no father, mother. Everything is one divine person, personhood, and being. And so maybe to kind of get to your question about what he's learned, I might have said something about that he is now disembodied. He is of that whole, holistic, divine, creative essence. It's hard to describe what that means in physical words. It's the divine thought made manifest, which is what souls are. And that's what Henry is experiencing. So we can experience that as physical beings, but obviously not as deeply and profoundly as Henry can, or any other departed soul, because we are still embodied. We are embodied. We are a very low vibrational level compared to pure spirit. We are a very low vibrational level. In fact, we're almost at the bottom of the food chain when it comes to vibrational level as created physical beings. So we have a lot we have to do to find that part of ourselves that we will all be when we die. But we can find it. And that's maybe that part, Stuart, that mother-father part of ourselves that we celebrate on Earth Day, and we should probably celebrate it every day, but of course we don't. But we are mother, father, all of us inside of ourselves, beyond the physical bodies that we inhabit. We are mother, father.
Beautiful.
We are everything.
Beautiful.
Sister, brother, mother, father, we are all of it.
Claire, are there others who have questions or thoughts? Susan?
Claire, we've met before, and I am just finding this so ever so stunning this time around.
Who are you? I'm sorry.
This is Susan, and we've
Oh,
met.
hi, Susan. Hi.
And I'm so grateful to you and so grateful for your willingness to convey this experience. I had a similar experience, and it was with another man named Henry, of all things. And that's why I'm resonating so much with you right now. And I've been encouraged to ask you about this because he is departed as of maybe about 25 years ago. But I was with him closely, and again, like yourself, this was never consummated, but he wanted it to be. And
I'm sorry, who are you speaking of, Susan?
I'm speaking of a man also named Henry, whom I
Oh,
knew. And so that's why I'm resonating with you so much.
Oh, I see. Thank you. Thank
We
you.
had the same first name. So I come to this group and most other groups as a scientist, right? So I stay within that heady realm. And so I feel a little bit awkward now coming in this other more esoteric, ethereal realm. It's not my usual way. And yet I think all of us have had these experiences that seem more than three-dimensional. Everyone here probably has had something beyond what we would consider purely within 3D. And so I had the very distinct, if you will, knowledge that he actually did come back to me in the form of a rabbit who was a pet. And
I love it.
And I mean, I know this sounds very, very strange. Okay. And I'm, and here I'm coming to you as a scientist too. And so I apologize for, in a certain sense, for, if I'm lowering my credibility anyway, but I did positively had this experience. And of course, the experience seems more real than this 3D reality on Earth itself. And
can I ask you a question?
Please.
Okay. Before this experience, do you have or did you have an affinity for that animal, that kind of animal, a rabbit? Rabbits.
We have had, my husband and I, about 60 rabbits come through our home over the many years. So
okay, there you go. That's all I wanted to know. This is beautiful. Thank you. Continue. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure what I want to ask really, but he definitely came to me. He was like Henry in every way. He consummated in my arms with me. And he had a way of touching my hands back when he was here in this real body. And this particular bunny always insisted on touching my hand in just those ways, and no other bunny ever did that.
Oh.
And he finally did something that I felt throughout my whole body one time before he passed away again as a bunny. I mean, I know this sounds so strange. I can't even believe that I'm telling anyone this.
No, please. No, it's not.
This is, I didn't even tell my husband this, okay? So I'm sharing something so personal and crazy, maybe. But yes, he did consummate our relationship by way of using my hand. And I felt it throughout my whole body. And I'm looking at myself objectively and thinking how crazy this sounds.
No, I get it.
It was my real experience. And so I just thank you because you just brought this all up for me.
You know what? I'm so grateful to you for sharing that, and it's lovely and it's beautiful, and I'm very moved. Thank you for sharing that, Susan. And no, you're not crazy, honey. You're not crazy at all. Sometimes souls will manifest as animals, particularly if an embodied person is close to a particular kind of animal. I had a greyhound that manifested. There was something about this particular greyhound that chose me. I didn't choose him, he chose me. And so I won't belabor the point, but I'm just saying that animals can manifest, souls can manifest as animals, definitely. And Stuart, I just want to say, unfortunately, my phone only stays charged for maybe an hour or so, and it's starting to beep, so that means it's going to be dying pretty soon. So I just want to tell you that.
Good. So Marin has a question.
Well,
We'll go as long as we can, but Marin has a question.
Okay.
Claire, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I had two, and maybe choose between the two. The first is I wanted to hear from Henry as to if there's anything that he wanted to share with us today. And I also speak to you as my middle name is my name is Marin Alcott Lutz, and so Amos Bronson is my uncle, great uncle.
Oh, I'm excited. Henry is saying, as he is speaking, he's bowing to all of you. He's very emotional. He's saying he's so honored to be here, just to hear what you all are saying. He can see, even though you're not speaking words, he can feel the energy of the group. He can feel your reason for being in this meeting. And he is very touched. He wants to say that he misses the contact with physical world. He really does. He's saying he misses the feel of his feet on the ground. He misses the feel of the touch of a tree or a flower, the fragrance of the leaves and the grass and the water. He misses his breath. And so he's saying it's such a privilege and an honor to be here and to be speaking with you, to be hearing what you're saying, because it brings him home to this world. And also, particularly on this day when we are honoring our mother, father, this is a particularly special day, and he's so grateful that we have asked him to join us so that he can be a part of it.
So Claire and Henry, thank you. Henry, correct me if I'm wrong. So Marin is connected with the Alcott family, and my understanding.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me jump in quickly. Henry is broadly smiling, and he's saying how much he loves Bronson.
No, that's what I wanted to say. The story goes that Bronson visited Henry on his deathbed, and Bronson leaned over and kissed his beloved friend's fevered brow. And Henry did all that he could do as he reached out with his hand and lightly touched Bronson's leg in acknowledgement. Does that sound familiar, friends?
Yes, it's like, again, we're all emotional here. I am, and Henry is. This is when Henry was dying of the Yellow House, which is the Sorrow Alcott house. He was in the parlor because he could no longer climb the stairs, so they moved his bed down to the parlor where he lay dying. And of all the people that came to visit him, many came to visit him. Bronson was the one who kissed his sweaty forehead, stroked his face to say goodbye. And Henry, the reason he was smiling when we mentioned Bronson is because his memories of Bronson are, he doesn't like to dwell on that last meeting with Bronson because it's painful, but his memories of Bronson are cheerful and delightful. They spend hours and hours and hours talking philosophy and culture and nonsense, everything. Bronson was probably, it's hard to define that relationship. It was more than a friendship, but it wasn't, it was kind of a fun philosophical relationship that they had and friendship. And Henry really truly did love this man. So many people thought he was nuts. You know, he's a crackpot. You know, Henry knew that he wasn't at all. He really loved him and really honored and respected him. So, and he's saying, I loved Bronson. He was a true friend. Henry just said that. He's saying not only that, he's saying, now this is interesting. He's never said this before. He's saying, I worshiped him. We have to understand what that means, that word worship that Henry uses. It's not a religious word that he doesn't mean it in that context. He means it in a deeply personal way between the two of them. His respect and his understanding Bronson in a really deep way that many other people didn't understand him, including his wife.
Mm-hmm.
I think Louisa did. I think Louisa got it.
She did, yeah.
She was the only one, I think, that really understood her father beside Henry. I don't think anybody else really did.
No.
So
I'm curious because my I've named my daughter Sophia Louisa, and my mom's name is Louisa May Elcott.
Oh wow! How cool is that? Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. I love it.
I've actually been things about who my daughter is, Sophia, but perhaps for another time, another day.
Oh, I love it. I'm sorry, my phone is we could be talking and it's just going to cut out maybe, but we could probably just keep on talking. But just so you know that it could cut out anytime. But
That's clear, Claire. We have some friends here from the islands, from Jamaica and from Africa. I want to give them an opportunity. They may have heard of Thoreau's civil disobedience, which inspired Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Tolstoy. Do you all have any questions for Claire or Henry?
Hi, Stuart. Hi, everybody. This is Corin here.
Good.
I had a quick
Hi.
question for Henry about the soul of America. We hear this quite a lot today, that America is going through a real transition. I was wondering what he feels about this concept, the soul of America, and where we are today with the American sort of ideal for the state of America, and what we can do as I guess the Black diaspora to heal or work with this transition.
that's always hard to answer because this seems probably counterintuitive maybe, but The idea is that we here in this world have to figure out our own stuff. In the other world, and Stuart and I have talked about this 1,000 times, the other world, meaning all the souls in the other world that we call on, like the transcendentalists that we call on so often, Stuart and I, they are here for support. They can't change the trajectory of the future. They can't change the future. It's our job, because everybody here in this physical world has got a path. Everybody here has got a soul mission. The people in the other side, the souls on the other side, can't interfere with those souls' missions. So all they can do is kind of like cheer us on and try to encourage those of us who are of right minds to do the right thing, but they can't change anything. They can't change anything. You know, that's a misconception, maybe, and I don't know if that's what you were even suggesting, but to ask, you know, well, what can be done? We have to figure that out for ourselves. We have to, to quote Abraham Lincoln, we have to tap into the better angels of our nature to do that. So that is up to us to fix stuff. So, and Stuart, you know this, we get support from the other side, but they can watch us, they can listen to us, and they like to, you know, when we call on souls to come to a meeting or something, the transcendentalists, they like to know what's going on, but they can't do anything about it. They can't change it.
In a way, Claire, it's really a beautiful picture. As little as God can control us, we're no longer children, we're adults. We have to take responsibility. As little as God will give us marching orders.
Exactly. Yeah, God.
With those who are departed is that they can be with us in heart, they can inspire, they can encourage us if we open our hearts, but we have to do the work ourselves. But Corinne,
yeah,
do you want to add, Corinne, to your question while we
That's great. I was just curious. I thought I'd put it on the table to say we hear about
Thank
the
you.
soul.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for that.
I appreciate Amanda, you know, of that time, or the spirit or soul from that time, working with you, Claire, today, to be that reflection in this generation. So I appreciate this sharing that you've done today, and how we can bond together and be that living, you know, mirror for heaven on earth vibes. So I really appreciate what you shared with us, and likewise what's been shared with Susan and Marin to sort of reveal things to us about this great man of history. So thanks very much for being here today, both you and Henry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Henry just gave you a bow. When I say a bow, this is a very courtly man from the 19th century. It's like from the waist. He will bend from the waist, and he's looking at you as he's doing that. That's what that means.
Okay, I put my shades on. Salute to Henry and give thanks.
So I'd like to do this. We have a very generous host who's given much of the morning for us to be in the nature connection. This, Henry, is work being done here in Concord to bring animals and the natural world to those in old folks' homes and who've lost connection. They've been our hosts this morning, but I want to honor her schedule. So I'd like to say a verse to conclude this. We also have who's joined us a colleague, Noel from Senegal, and Michel from the Congo. And Michel's destiny is somewhat akin to that of Huda's. His father was a prime minister of the Congo and was assassinated. His life was taken. So we are together with them now. They've just joined us. They hear the end of this conversation. We'll be talking about how we can work together to create a future worth envisioning. And in that sense, I want to offer these concluding words. And Henry and Claire, if you have a response to them, would love to hear them. But this is a verse that we've ended many of our gatherings with. And it goes as follows. We must eradicate from the soul all fear and terror of what comes towards us out of the future. We must acquire serenity in all feelings and sensations about the future. We must look forward with absolute equanimity to everything that may come. And we must think only that whatever comes is given to us by a world direction full of wisdom. It is part of what we must learn in this age, namely to live out of pure trust, without any security in existence, trust in the ever-present help of the spiritual world. Truly nothing else will do if our courage is not to fail us. Let us discipline our will, and let us seek the awakening from within ourselves every morning and every evening.
Yes, there, her phone has been disconnected or bottomed out.
So, Corin, we'll see if we can keep you connected, particularly because of our two guests who've joined us, but we're going to slip out with thanks to our hostess. Heartfelt thanks. And I'll follow up and we'll stay in touch. Thank you.